recent spate of insecurity in Nigeria has drawn attention from different quarters, and many Nigerians have expressed concerns over its rising, especially in Lagos and Ogun states, occasioned by the lockdown ordered by President Muhammadu Buhari to curb the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, many say the trend is only traceable to the level of hunger in the land while the people are locked down, despite government's intervention packages. Now, joining us to discuss this is a lawyer and social commentator, Tosin Akande. Good morning to you there. Thank you very much for joining us here. If we could get into identifying the root causes of this types of insecurity, do you think it's a direct response to the lockdown? I know a lot of people have been saying that, well, people have always been struggling, and there's always been some type of security concerns in Lagos, in Ogun State. But do you think that this recent spate of attacks and unrest has been because of the lockdown?
Okay, thank you. I'll go straight to the point. It's not directly linked to the COVID-19 issue on ground. But as a sociologist as well, I think I can see it as an extension of angst and, somewhat a kind of protest, in the minds of some of these boys, without scruples. So, and it goes a long way to tell that both the righteous person, in quote, and the unrighteous can indeed have a reason to vent their anger. Those boys have always been criminals. They've always been like that. They are only cashing in on the fact that there seems to be a rife opportunity for them to do what they've always done. And in a way, everyone is angry about the way the government is handling the issue so far, in a way.
And when you say they're cashing in on an already bad situation, do you think they would have been justified if maybe government had done something to actually prevent this kind of situation from arising, where these hoodlums and bandits or what have you actually take advantage, go into the streets and actually feel justified, because all they're saying is we don't have food, and they're robbing people and breaking into houses and what have you. Well, has government provided that environment for that to happen?
I'll give you a two-way response. You see, if there is, if things are falling apart entirely, such that the center can no longer hold, whereby we no longer have a government or a semblance of government, they will be justified, because we would have been reduced to the state of nature, according to what the great philosopher and sociologist said. I'm talking about Thomas Hobbes. Said life can indeed be short, nasty, solitary, and brutish. But to God be the glory, we are not anywhere near such a situation now, to which extent those who are doing these kind of crimes are not going to be justified. So the issue on ground now is that the security apparatus we have on ground need to get a little bit more serious, to firm up the interest of lives and property. So at all, they are not justified. They are not.
So what does government need to do now to ensure that this does not escalate? I mean, if you recall what happened in Lagos and Ogun State, where criminals went into houses, robbing people of their food and all that. What does government need to do now, urgently?
They should just detach and deploy more hands, more police personnel, onto the streets. And again, this calls for a revisit to the issue of the Amotekun thing in the southwest, and all other such platforms elsewhere. So if they should allow it a speedy passage and begin operations, you see, policing everywhere is local. So if government should, at the moment, I'm aware that we are understaffed. Over about 3,000 men of the police resigned or retired about 3 years ago, and I don't think there has been recruitment. And even if there has been, the fact is that we are still understaffed. It's now no longer news. Everybody knows that. So government should just do the needful, deploy more men into the streets so that we can nab these boys. They are not ghosts. They are easy to apprehend, I can tell you. Even private persons are withstanding them. I have the story of a friend, a journalist, who said just last week how he protected himself, and overpowered one, and then he took off. It's funny, but that's just the truth. So they are not ghosts, and they are so easy to nab. We only need more policemen and police personnel in the streets to end their scourge.
But we obviously don't have them, and in the meantime, people are having to take matters into their own hands. You just shared the story of your friend there, but also, more seriously, there are lots of people who have had to, men and women, who've had to become vigilantes to protect their own communities there. So I put to you, I mean, how much longer do you think this can last? We can talk about the lack of this, the lack of infrastructure, the need for more police officers. We don't have them. And in the meantime, people feel as though they are definitely under threat. So what do you think needs to be done to address those concerns?
I think I need to clarify the story of my friend and the perception in your mind or in your view. He didn't take the law into his hands. That was self-defense. Because if we do not clarify, it will appear as if we are lending credence to jungle justice, which is entirely different from...
Oh, absolutely. I'm talking about vigilantes and people in the streets of Lagos who've had to stay awake overnight and light fire so that they can see if their communities are under threat. That's what I'm talking about. Not so much jungle justice, but people having to defend themselves because they cannot call on the police to come and patrol their streets while they sleep.
We are still on the same page.
Okay.
We are still on the same page. Because if care is not taken and caution is not had, when people say, look, we'll take the law, when people, I'm not saying individuals now, separate from you, when people say we'll take the law into our hands, they ultimately mean jungle justice, which is what we have all condemned. If somebody has been found out to have done something dastardly criminal, get him arrested and hand him over to the police. Let the law take its full course. That's what I am reiterating, and I know why I need to clarify this, because we've seen videos going viral as well of how criminals are being nabbed and apprehended, and then they made them hawk things to shame them, and then finally hand them over to the police. That is commendable. Now, in talking about, maintaining vigilante that just came up all of a sudden, well, we'll do everything needful to protect our lives and protect our property, because in the end, if anyone loses his life, and you are standing on the fact that government must provide, and unfortunately they did not provide, then you have yourself to blame. So all those who are keeping up vigilante functions night and day, kudos to them. That's what will continue the spirit. It's about the Nigerian struggle. It's about the Nigerian spirit. It's about the Nigerian dream. We can't afford to give up on it.
Yes, we really cannot afford to give up on it. But that seems to be the case.
Sorry, please, I didn't hear you at that moment.
Okay. All right, if you can put on, they'll help you with your earpiece. I saw that it fell off just now, so that you can actually hear, what we're saying. If you can hear me
now I can hear you
very well. And you did say that you're not advising that people should resort to jungle justice, but that seems to be an offshoot of some level of lack of confidence in law enforcement. But then again, you have to consider, on the other hand, that many law enforcement officers actually find themselves at the receiving end of violence, coming from members of the society, like some of these criminals that we just cited. Law enforcement officers themselves that have to be on the front line, put their lives on the line, are they even getting the kind of protection that they need for them to actually put themselves out there in a way that, they will do their job very well?
They are not. I would not be economical of the truth. They are not, and we have to, as well, in a way, commend even the average policeman, because to the best of my knowledge, there is no special allowance for them, especially at this kind of odd times that has been brought by the COVID-19. So in the meantime, they are doing all they are doing, probably, in their own, as a sacrifice. I say it as a sacrifice. That's how I say it, for to ensure that the Nigerian project, the state, does not fail. So that's one thing the people need to know as well. These policemen are not well motivated. No, they are not. Salary package not nice. Let me put it in the local parlance. Not nice, not teasing, not tantalizing. So the only thing that we have to do is just to make do with what we have on ground for now.
Make do with what we have. But, you know, in terms of preferring solutions to these security challenges that, you know, Nigerians are facing in this period of lockdown so that it doesn't escalate, you did say that there's a need to even deploy more security officers. But we did speak with former Vice President of the World Bank moments before you came on, and she talked about the need for moral suasion, you know, to help Nigerians understand the seriousness to abide by the rules or directives or laws, that would even work better than just deploying security officers on the streets.
I would say both should go hand in hand. You know, I'm not surprised Mrs. Obi-Ezekwesili talked about moral suasion. She's a confirmed mother. So, and anyone with that kind of spirit would not underemphasize, you know, the issue of moral. But moral situation not only for men of the police, not only for those in the security apparatus, but for every Nigerian, for all of us have to be, our hands must be on deck. Maybe we might even ask for a day, you know, to have a rethink. You know, I've been thinking about it. We have to, in other words, I want to take this issue of moral suasion further up. Every Nigerian has to be on deck. A lot of us are doing the right things at the wrong time. A lot of us are doing the wrong things at the wrong time, wrong things at the right time. So almost everything is upside down. We can't continue to build the state the way in which our people have been building it, both on the government side and on the side of the followership. So moral situation, yes, it's going to go a long way. Thumbs up.
All right. Tosin Akande, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us. Tosin Akande is a social commentator.